The Journey After Death. Understanding the Bardo Thodol. Introduction to the Tibetan Book of the Dead and its spiritual significance. What happens when we take our final breath? Is it the end, or merely a doorway into another realm of existence? For centuries, Tibetan mystics have spoken of a journey the soul must undertake after death, a journey mapped in one of the most mysterious texts in human history. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, known in its native language as Bardo Thodol, liberation through hearing during the intermediate state, is not merely a book. It's a sacred guide meant to be read aloud to the dying and the deceased. Rooted in Tibetan Buddhism, this ancient text was written to help the soul navigate the unfamiliar terrain after death. Unlike Western views of death, which often focus on an inevitable end, Tibetan teachings view it as a transition, a profound, spiritual journey that continues into another state of being. This sacred text offers spiritual guidance, not only for those transitioning after death, but also for those of us still living. It provides profound instructions on how to achieve liberation and navigate the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. By understanding these stages, practitioners aim to transcend the endless cycles of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, and ultimately reach enlightenment, freeing themselves from suffering and confusion. This journey through life and death is not merely about the soul's transition, but an exploration of the deeper layers of human consciousness itself. Tibetan Buddhists believe that the way a person dies has a profound effect on their spiritual journey. For them, death is not to be feared, but understood as a sacred process. The teachings suggest that the clearer the mind is before death, the more likely it is that one will experience a peaceful and conscious transition into the next life, or possibly achieve liberation from the cycle of rebirth altogether. One crucial aspect of the Bardo Thodol is its focus on the moment of death itself. In many cultures, death is seen as a terrifying event that signifies the end of life. But in Tibetan Buddhism, it is considered an integral part of the spiritual path, a moment of great opportunity. This is why the Bardo Thodol emphasizes preparation for death long before the final breath. Just as we would prepare for a long journey, we must prepare spiritually for the great journey beyond this life. The composers of the Bardo Thodol, Padmasambhava and Karma Lingpayat, is believed to have been composed in the 8th century by the great master Padmasambhava, a revered figure who brought Buddhism to Tibet. According to legend, Padmasambhava concealed many spiritual treasures in hidden places to be discovered in future generations. The Bardo Thodol was one such treasure, uncovered centuries later in the 14th century by the Tertun, or spiritual treasure revealer, Karma Lingpa. This remarkable discovery marked a turning point in the spiritual teachings of Tibetan Buddhism. The tradition of discovering hidden teachings, or terma, plays a vital role in Tibetan Buddhist practice, ensuring the teachings are preserved and passed down in their most authentic form. Padmasambhava is regarded as one of the greatest spiritual figures in Tibetan Buddhism. His contributions go far beyond the Bardo Thodol, shaping Tibetan Buddhist philosophy and practice through his mystical teachings and direct guidance to the Tibetan people. His teachings emphasize the inherent purity of mind and the potential for all beings to awaken to their true nature. In Tibetan Buddhist tradition, Padmasambhava is also associated with the founding of the Nyingma school, one of the oldest schools of Tibetan Buddhism. The Nyingma tradition places great emphasis on meditation, the recognition of inherent wisdom, and the importance of direct experience in understanding reality. Padmasambhava's wisdom and vision continue to guide Tibetan practitioners to this day, and his influence on the Bardo Thodol cannot be overstated. Karma Lingpa, who found the text centuries later, was one of the greatest figures in the lineage of Tertons. He played a crucial role in preserving this sacred wisdom, ensuring that future generations could benefit from these profound spiritual teachings. His discovery marked a pivotal moment in Tibetan Buddhism, particularly regarding the practice of death meditation and the understanding of the afterlife. The Three Bardos, a journey through life, death, and rebirth. The text outlines three main bardos, or transitional states, that the soul experiences after death: the Chikai Bardo, the moment of death; the Chonyid Bardo, the experience of reality; and the Sidpa Bardo, the state of rebirth. Each phase represents a profound opportunity for spiritual growth, but it also presents significant challenges. In Tibetan Buddhism, the understanding of these three phases is crucial for practitioners as they attempt to navigate them in the most enlightened way possible. The first bardo, the Chikai Bardo, is the moment of death. It is the moment when the soul is separated from the physical body. During this time, the soul enters a state of complete freedom from its earthly attachments. This release can be disorienting and overwhelming for those who have not prepared spiritually. If the individual has practiced mindfulness and meditation during life, they may recognize the clear light of ultimate reality, the pure, radiant nature of mind. This luminous clarity is not external, but the very essence of awareness itself. The clear light is considered the most profound spiritual experience one can have. Tibetan Buddhists believe that recognizing this light offers an immediate path to liberation. However, many souls, unprepared for such an intense experience, may become overwhelmed. The ego, which has clung to form and identity, resists dissolving into this brilliance. Most souls, unprepared, recoil from the intensity of the light and drift deeper into the intermediate states. It is at this crucial juncture that the Bardo Thodol offers the opportunity for transcendence, liberation, or the continuation of the cycle of samsara. The recognition of the clear light offers an immediate escape from the cycle of rebirth, but most people are unaware or unable to recognize it. Without preparation, the soul is drawn back into the cycle of reincarnation. The teachings emphasize that it is only through the continuous practice of meditation, mindfulness, and wisdom that a person can cultivate the awareness needed to recognize this light at the time of death. In the Chonyid Bardo, the second phase, the mind begins to manifest visions. These may be serene and beautiful, peaceful Buddhas radiating compassion, or they may be terrifying and chaotic, wrathful deities with fearsome appearances. But all of these visions are projections of one's own consciousness, reflecting the state of the soul at the time of death. The peaceful deities represent our inner potential for enlightenment, the aspects of our nature that align with wisdom and compassion. If the soul can recognize these figures as symbols of its own mind, liberation is possible. Yet, if confusion and fear prevail, the soul continues to wander, unsure of the nature of these visions and their meaning. These visions are symbolic, revealing the true nature of the soul and its capacity for awakening. By recognizing the peaceful deities, the soul can transcend confusion and move toward enlightenment. In contrast, the wrathful deities reflect the suppressed emotions, unresolved karma, and darker aspects of our psyche. Their frightening appearances are mirrors of inner turmoil. Again, the key to liberation is recognition. The soul must see through these appearances and understand that they are not external forces, but reflections of its own mental state. This insight into the nature of these apparitions provides the opportunity for liberation. Should the soul be able to recognize these beings as projections rather than real entities? This phase offers great potential for liberation, but requires the soul to face its deepest fears and attachments. Understanding that these deities are not enemies but mirrors of the mind offers an opportunity to awaken to the true nature of consciousness. If the soul can see this truth and release its attachments to fear and ego, it may achieve liberation and escape the endless cycles of samsara. The continuation of the journey. The Sidpa Bardo and the path to liberation. The Sidpa Bardo, the stage of rebirth and karmic forces, after the soul passes through the first two bardos, Chikai and Chonyid. It enters the Sidpa Bardo, the final phase of the journey before rebirth. This stage is marked by the soul's encounter with karmic forces that pull it toward the next incarnation. The Sidpa Bardo represents the process through which the soul is drawn into the cycle of rebirth based on the karmic imprints left by its actions in previous lives. This is the stage where the soul is particularly vulnerable to attachment and desire, which act as the primary forces that influence its next rebirth. The process of rebirth, according to Tibetan Buddhism, is not random or arbitrary. Instead, it is shaped by the law of karma. Our actions, thoughts, and intentions in life leave imprints on our consciousness, which determine the nature of our next birth. In the Sidpa Bardo, the soul is drawn toward a new body, often influenced by strong desires or attachments to family, possessions, or even unfulfilled emotional needs. As the soul encounters visions of parents or loved ones, it is drawn by its attachments to these figures. This attachment can create a powerful pull toward rebirth, as the soul seeks to reconnect with what it perceives as familiar or comforting. However, this process is not necessarily a positive one. It often leads the soul to be reborn into circumstances that perpetuate its previous karmic patterns, thus continuing the cycle of samsara. It is believed that if the soul clings too tightly to these desires, it becomes trapped in the cycle of reincarnation. However, if the soul can detach from these attachments and maintain mindfulness and awareness, it may break free from the cycle and achieve liberation. This is why the teachings of the Bardo Thodol place such importance on cultivating mindfulness and spiritual clarity throughout life. By purifying the mind through meditation, ethical living, and compassionate actions, the soul can gradually weaken the pull of attachment and break free from the endless cycles of rebirth. One of the key messages of the Tibetan Bardo is the importance of recognizing that attachment and desire are the root causes of suffering. In the Tibetan Bardo, the soul's attachment to the material world is tested. Its desire for rebirth is the very thing that keeps it bound to samsara. The Bardo Thodol offers the soul a chance to transcend these attachments and gain true freedom, but it requires the soul to maintain a high level of awareness and wisdom. Liberation in the Tibetan Bardo, the ultimate goal of the journey. While the Tibetan Bardo is primarily associated with the potential for rebirth, it also holds the possibility for liberation. If the soul has been able to maintain awareness and detach from the cravings of the material world, it can break free from the cycle of birth and death. This is the ultimate goal of Tibetan Buddhist practice, to achieve liberation from the endless cycles of samsara and attain enlightenment or nirvana. Liberation or moksha is the ultimate freedom from suffering and the limitations of the material world. It is a state of perfect wisdom, compassion, and clarity in which the soul is no longer bound by the desires, attachments, and illusions that perpetuate samsara. In the context of the Bardo Thodol, this liberation is achieved when the soul transcends its attachments during the Tibetan Bardo, recognizing the impermanence of all things and the illusory nature of its desires. The teachings of the Bardo Thodol stress that liberation is not a distant or abstract concept. It is available to anyone, at any time, as long as the conditions are right. The opportunity for liberation exists in every moment, especially in the critical moments after death, when the soul is most open to spiritual awakening. The key to liberation lies in mindfulness, the ability to recognize the true nature of reality, and the courage to face the truth of one's own mind without fear or delusion. Practical guidance for the living. How to prepare for the Bardo journey. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is not just a guide for the deceased, it is also a manual for the living. In order to navigate the bardos successfully, it is essential to cultivate certain qualities during life. These include mindfulness, compassion, and detachment. Practicing these qualities during life helps prepare the mind for the moment of death and the journey through the bardos. It is through these practices that the living can learn to face death without fear and ultimately achieve liberation. One of the most important aspects of preparing for death is to cultivate mindfulness. This involves being fully present in each moment, aware of one's thoughts, actions, and intentions. Mindfulness helps to purify the mind, allowing individuals to recognize the truth of their own experience and the impermanence of all things. This awareness is essential for recognizing the clear light of ultimate reality in the Chikai Bardo and for facing the deities in the Chonyid Bardo without fear. Compassion is another essential quality to cultivate. In Tibetan Buddhism, compassion is considered one of the highest virtues. Compassion allows individuals to transcend the ego and see the world through the eyes of others, fostering a deep sense of interconnectedness. When practiced during life, compassion helps to purify the mind, making it more likely that the individual will experience a peaceful transition after death. Compassion also plays a vital role in the Siddha Bardo, as it allows the soul to detach from selfish desires and attachments, helping it to achieve liberation. Lastly, detachment is crucial for spiritual growth. This does not mean renouncing the world or withdrawing from life, but rather cultivating a healthy distance from the material world and its illusions. Detachment allows individuals to see through the distractions and attachments that keep them bound to samsara. By practicing detachment during life, individuals can prepare themselves to recognize the impermanence of all things and let go of their attachments at the time of death. Death as a teacher, the role of death. Meditation in Tibetan Buddhism in Tibetan. Buddhism. Death is not something to be feared or avoided, but a profound teacher. Death meditation, or maranasati, is an important practice in many Tibetan monasteries. This practice involves contemplating the impermanence of life and the inevitability of death. By regularly reflecting on death, practitioners become more familiar with the transient nature of existence and are better prepared to face it when the time comes. Death meditation involves reflecting on the dissolution of the body step by step, as well as the impermanence of all phenomena. Through this practice, practitioners develop a deep sense of acceptance and equanimity, understanding that death is a natural part of the cycle of life. This acceptance allows them to approach death with clarity and peace, rather than fear and anxiety. Modern practitioners can benefit greatly from integrating death meditation into their daily lives. By contemplating death regularly, they can develop a deeper sense of gratitude for the present moment and become more aware of their true nature. This practice can help individuals break free from the cycle of attachment and suffering, leading them toward liberation. The Bardo and its relevance. Today, while the Bardo Thodol is an ancient text rooted in Tibetan Buddhist tradition, its teachings are not limited to the afterlife. In fact, the bardos are present in every transition we face in life. The end of childhood, the loss of a loved one, even falling asleep or waking up. Each is a kind of bardo. These transitional states provide an opportunity for spiritual growth and transformation as they mirror the journey the soul takes after death. By understanding the principles of the Bardo Thodol, modern individuals can learn to navigate the transitions of life with greater awareness and presence. Each moment of change becomes a chance to reflect on the nature of impermanence and the true nature of the mind. Rather than fearing change, we can embrace it as an opportunity for transformation and awakening. The teachings of the Bardo Thodol remind us that liberation is always available, regardless of our circumstances, and that the path to freedom is found through mindfulness, compassion, and detachment.